Today, I'll be mostly covering the market updates and three portions. First is about tax. Second is about Tesla, the old versus new, and Magnificent Seven. Today, I would like to just focus on market updates.
Update of the market. The market has went to greedy mode again from 56 right now at 67, and then S&P and QQQ both have break all-time high. So if you think this is a good thing to celebrate every time, yay! And also the market reaction sometimes is not in tandem. It's not to say that a market giving bad news, the share price will go down, or market giving good news, share price will go up. And for those who have took actions with all these news happening around, I would say you have a heart of steel. And for those you decided not to with all this news because you want to stay sane, stay committed to your portfolio, you're also doing all right. You might not be always above the water, but at least you can ride the wave. One of the things that just caught my eyes, their share price just went up by 70% from the bottom to right now. The April sharp drop and then to bounce back is 70%. 70%, yeah, you're not hearing wrong, it's 70%. The market just went down altogether. There's no reason. The only reason is market went down. Whenever interest rate reduce, their topic will bound to be raised again. There's two sectors will be raised again. One is bank, because when interest rate reduce, bank most likely the revenue got reduced as well because I can only charge a lower interest rate. So bank revenue got affected first thing. Second thing is when rate reduce, company that rely on that, for example, REITs will be being raised again. Why? When your debt interest reduce, you save more in your interest payment. The saving will pass on to REITs holder and it will become your dividend. All right. So it will be a good news for REITs investor whereby when the REITs reduce, I pay lesser interest rate, I have more saving, and then I give it up to my investor. Timing the entry is what we have to optimize, but sometimes it's like less is more, right? So they shake up the industry, and this brought out good news to us because right now we trade with zero brokerage. All right, don't go without protection. In terms of your portfolio, always balance it between defense attack. Depends on your risk appetite. It depends on your age itself, right? Imperfect action is better than perfect inaction. These are the strongest learning lessons that I get through this last month. And sometimes less is more. Less action, you get more result.
So for those who have just watched the last 2-3 minutes, you'll know that actually just now is just a roundup from last week. If you watch this and then you couldn't remember what have happened last week, maybe there's too much news to follow that you would have forgotten what have happened last week. So without further ado, let's start the content for tonight. We have covered a lot of different topics since the beginning of the year, especially on different companies, because for us, we raised focus on stock centrics. So we talk a lot about stocks, and we also talk a lot about macros recently because nevertheless, or regardless, all the market macro news will affect companies, and the companies will affect our company performance and hence our stock price performance as well. So we have talked like Meta, Google, or even all the Magnificent Seven, and also SoFi, some of the smaller companies, SoFi, Docs, or even Texas Pacific Land. So these are all the companies that we have covered since the beginning of the year, every single Tuesday. And last week we talked about TikTok, Oracle. So this week, what happened? We are very close to the 9th of July, which is the last day of our 90 days after Liberation Day. So all the tariffs should be in place after these 90 days. There's only 2 countries that confirm the negotiation. One is Britain, the second is Vietnam. The rest of the country, there isn't much news yet other than the 14 to 15 countries that received letter from Mr. Trump that they will impose certain rates. We will talk about it in a short while. But nevertheless, the market right now, it seems like it's already forgotten what happened, and then right now it's in greedy mode. So you see the market has reacted, and right now it's at 75. It's like extreme greedy right now. Yeah. So sometimes the market and the true happening in the real world sometimes it's not as closely matched. There's some lagger, there's some leading indicator. But for this news, seems like people have just long forgotten what happened, and then people just want to move forward. If you look at your S&P, it's like advanced 25%. Compared to your QQQ is 30%. All right. If you just focus on your currency, the QQ and SPY itself, right? Actually, you are making quite a good profit, 25 to 30% if you invest in the bottom. But don't forget, actually, our US dollar depreciate, and you have to take that into account. So this is about Forex. But in long-term wise, Forex shouldn't shift a lot. So right now you can see that actually throughout the years, the currency is adjusted downward like 6% to Sing dollars, 5% to ringgit. Yeah, so this is the Forex risk that we need to take. So first topic of the night, tax. This week or last 7 days. Regardless, Singapore, Malaysia, there's quite a few taxes announcement from our government. Yep. Okay. So come back to this. In Singapore, there's another tax called sellers. When I read this, right, I don't know what is this SST about. Stamp duty. So seller stamp duty is another news that just really announced by Singapore government last week. So for anyone who bought your private properties, these are the tax you need to take note of, because previously, if you buy your private properties, you can sell it after 3 years without incurring your seller stamp duty. But right now, the government decided, A, to cool down the market, you have to add on another year. So it's after the 4th year, if you sell it, then only you will not incur tax. If you sell in or on the 4th year itself, there will still tax. All right, let's look at the tax bracket itself. So after 4th of July, which is the same day as American Independence Day, after 4th of July, the first year, if you sell it, you need to pay 16% tax. Second year, 12% compared to previously 8%. The second to third year, 8% compared to previous 4%. And after 3 years, right, the previous policies is you don't need to pay tax, but right now you need to pay 4% tax. All right. Yeah. So when I heard of this, wow, for anybody who would buy private property, right now, you need to think of your lock-in period. You need to lock at least 4 years. All right. So for like people who stay in, I believe it will not affect much. But for people who like to have some property gain, flipping it, or even I guess like refinancing it, I think refinance will not be an issue because refinance is you still own it, ma. But if you like to sell it, then these are the things that you need to take off. Refinance, I don't think it will affect SSD lah. Any property agent right there or any property investor, tell me if I get this wrong. Refinancing it, I would say it will not be affected by this SSD rate. Yeah. Okay, let me just see any comment right here from the chat. Yeah, tax because paying a group to work, but they use it for other things. Exactly. Tax, you are paying tax for the government, but the next thing is how government would make use of the taxes. Yeah. So after this being announced, the same week, there's a few big news that announced by the Singapore government. So LTA and also the Ministry of Development, in other words, like the HDB and property development market lah. So you see here, like our Cross Island Line have announced that they have started construction that slated to open in 2032. And you heard of HDB like launching quite a few projects or announcing some few projects. So for example, Sembawang is a project site that I don't know why they like to focus these few days. I don't know, it's because Sembawang is the demand is too low. So that's why they need to put more coverage. I don't know. Anyone, you have different thoughts, just let me know. I just type inside. I just thought that there's too much mentioning of Sembawang. So for people who are staying in Singapore, like Sembawang or on north side, Woodland side, that actually the demand here is not as strong as the other region. So that's why the HDB pricing or whatever pricing here are the lowest PSF. And there's a big project coming up at Naval Base, and which is Sembawang Naval Base. They just name it Naval Base. I don't know why. Sembawang Beacon project. And yeah, our Minister Chee Hong Tat specially mentioned this project. It made me doubt that actually the demand here is quite low. That's why I need to mention a bit more. This is what I feel. But if you have other thought, just type in and let me know. So this is a thing when I heard of taxes, especially for Singapore, I felt that taxes are put into good uses of all this development out there. What do you think? If you think so too, just type in a yes or type in you agree. Yeah, so this is about Singapore taxes. Next is about Malaysia tax. So for Malaysia, you definitely heard of the SST that will be implementing starting from 1st July. I'm not a resident in Malaysia. I'm an ex-Malaysian. So when I heard of SST, it's like way after my time leaving Malaysia. So SST is just implemented, I think it's after Mahathir come up, a month after Anwar come up, there's this SST policy. I can't remember, but it's definitely not the time after I left Malaysia. When I was in Malaysia, there's no SST. So anyone who run business in Malaysia, maybe you can also share with me what is this SST about? Because it's unlike GST, it's like blanket. As long as you go out, any store, you buy stuff, GST 9%, blanket. All right. So you know that you do not need to guess what's the percentage, it's 9%. But this SST, wow, there's like different tier or sales tax regime. Yeah. It's even consumer good, right? There's two tier. There's a 5% and there's a 10%. 5% for near essential, 10% for higher value discretionary product. It's like, wow. For me, it's wow. It's like you're bound to have gray area. Like leather goods, luxury leather good. So luxury, this term is like, how do you define luxury? Yeah. How will you say luxury? Is it because this is from certain brand, then it's luxury? But there's this certain artisan that make it very luxurious, then consider not luxury, is it? I don't know what is this. If you ask me, I would think homemade leather products is more luxurious than the branded leather product. So, well, this one I don't know. So I have to ask like all the Malaysians like right here. What do you think? It's like 5%, 10%. Yeah. Okay. But nevertheless, like even like a business that like eczema right here, a business that imports skincare product and leases space in May face both 5% sales tax and 8% service tax on leasing and transport service. So it just boils down to the thing whereby it is hard to track and it adds a lot of cost to business. I would say it adds a lot of like auditing costs, like tracking costs for all the businesses. So for all the business in Malaysia, please make sure that you do check on your taxes itself. All right. Next thing, come to this thing called Trump tax, the tariff on all the country's businesses. When come to tariff, how do you feel about tariff? Let me know. Is it a yesterday thing or problem? Because it is talked about since April, the V-shaped recovery is like nothing happened for the past 90 days. And right now it being raised again. Yeah. So I don't know. You still got one more day, 9th of July. So Trump obviously, rather than just like terror, I'll just see it as tax lah. It's just like friction, business friction. And then Trump, because there's this event run by BRICS, BRICS, which is Brazil, Russia, India, China, as I think it's South Africa. So these five big countries around the world are having this meeting come together and talk about the friction they face. They didn't even mention about Trump or US. They just mentioned about the situations they are facing right now. There's taxes that that make globalization right walk backward. And Trump just jumped in and said, wow, you guys are coming together. You guys are coming together, aligning the other countries to fight with US. Yeah. And then any other countries that work with all these BRICS that include China, you'll get another 10% tariff. Wow. Bully to the max. I can't even make friends with other people. Yeah, so this is what's happening right now. Yeah, what we've mentioned beginning of the sessions when we talk about the tariff, right? After these 90 days, when last week we mentioned right, their aim is after these 90 days, they have this 90-day deal with 90 countries. And only right now, until right now, there's only two countries that basically come to a deal, which is Britain and Vietnam. Yeah, what is Vietnam deal? I'll cover in a short while. But it's just two countries. 90, two out of 90. Not even a 5%. So let's look at this. All right. So there's a tax that imposed right here, that a letter that they sent to all these 14 countries, mainly Southeast Asia. I will not say mainly, like more the one that got hit badly is Southeast Asia, like Laos, Myanmar, Cambodia, Thailand, Indonesia, or even Malaysia right here. So mainly Southeast Asia. Or the world factory, like Bangladesh, or even Kazakhstan and Tunisia is I don't know why they are there, but yeah, they are there. So these are all countries that got hit. And then last week there's this ASEAN event, right? Even Mark Rubio is there. Yeah, no, let's look at this. While we acknowledge concern raised by the US, the dialogue remains best path forward. Constructive engagement and dialogue. So this is what from Malaysian ministry. Seems like Malaysian ministry is like very confident on negotiating this 25% down. Yeah, I'm not sure. And then they say the silver lining is that Malaysia in the same club as Washington allies Japan and South Korea. So what is the deal by the Vietnam and US? Why out of so many countries, just Vietnam got into a deal? What do you think? My personal thoughts. I haven't done like much research on it, but what some of you say is Vietnam rely on US. I think comparably, Vietnam's definitely reliance is higher. Second thing, what I read from the news is this. If you look at Indonesia, Indonesia also do a lot of exports. But in regards of Indonesia export to US, right, it's only 3% of their GDP. So the reliance is rather low. And what is the more deciding factor, I would say, is the trade balance. I would suppose the trade balance is more imbalanced in Vietnam. Why? Because a lot of textile to productions that previously moved from China to Vietnam right now is staying in Vietnam. All right. Most of the factories that previously, which is thought of cost lesser in China, all moved to Vietnam. So the tech product, the electronics right now, a big part of it is from Vietnam. So that's why our US would like to strike a deal first. Maybe it's also easier to strike a deal there. I'm not so sure. Okay, but let's look at what's the deal that being struck. I think this is the one of the bigger thing, which is there's a surplus of 100 billion that Hanoi enjoys. So this is the first thing that caught US attention, I would say. And then because of this imbalance, that's why previously they slapped them with 46% tax or tariff, right? So right now it's 20% tariff, but it's still double the 9.4%. So it's still double from a previous 9.4%. Throughout this deal, they specifically raised this thing, which is called transshipment tariff. If I know, it's called transshipment tariff. I think this thing, Jiaxuan also shared this before. So it's either you tell me the stock is produced by the Vietnam companies and then sent to US, then you will be taxed this 20% rate. If you didn't declare, or we know that it is from the end source from maybe China, then we will be slapped by 40% tax rate. So any transshipment deal that come from China, it will be a 40% tax rate. Yeah, so this is the thing whereby previously and also risk. So if you tell me it's from other countries, it's not from Vietnam, you just like, because it went through Vietnam, you say it's in Vietnam, then you'll be slapped 40% tax rate. Okay, so this is the Vietnamese side. All right, so let's come to the end of the first update, which is the tariff. That latest update, the 14 countries being slapped with the 25 to 40% tax. Malaysia is one of them. A lot of Southeast Asia's country is. Only Vietnam that are able to strike a deal with US, but is still being 20% tariff. Today, in actual fact, I'd like to share with you one thing, which is all this, even for Malaysia, different tax rate and stuff like that, it got to do with this thing called tracking. And for personal, you like to do tracking. So if you have not used GoodWhale Buddy, so this is the page to use. You can just scan this QR code to use GoodWhale Buddy, and you can track your expenses very easy. There's supposed to be one video in 1.5 minutes that I can explain all these things, but too bad, I couldn't able to complete the video. But it will be up next week. So I will not repeat whatever I repeat last week. So if you're interested in GoodWhale Buddy, just scan this QR code or just search goodwhale.com/download, and then you'll find Telegram, WhatsApp, and also Line bot right there. So you can just use from there. Oh, and of course, if you have anything you want to promote your brand right here, there's a space right here. We have gotten some discussion with some companies. Moving forward, you'll see some of the advertisement right here. So hopefully you guys, if you like those advertisements, you can follow, you can add them, you can try out their products and let us know whether this help you. All right. But at the moment, the products that sponsor this session is Pulse, which is the things that I'm doing right now. Right. So if you are on YouTube, you'd like to join us in our private community, just scan this QR code. So what we'll receive after this is All this past session we'll receive and also get the full recording in our Goodwill community. And in this 1.5 hours, the first hour will be public what you're watching on YouTube. The next half an hour we'll talk more privately because we'll talk about companies, we'll talk about personal thinking, our personal portfolio and stuff. That's why we like to keep it within our close community. All right. So next, old versus new, which is these two guys. Trump versus our Mr. Elon Musk, which is Tesla. T versus T. They are the two most expressive guys. Mr. Trump and Mr. Elon has a fight. And then Elon shared that he would like to make a new political party. And after he mentioned that, right, Tesla stopped down again. Actually, when he left Dodge, right, Tesla have rebounded back. But when he mentioned he want to create a new party, right, the investor don't like it again. Why you don't focus on the business itself? Why you go busybody, go do politics? But I think everyone have their own interest and everyone have their own objective or own personal interest, I would say. So I guess Elon has a lot of things in mind they like to do in political scenes, especially after the Dodge experience and then the interaction with Donald Trump. So I think what have happened in US is this. So in US, there's these two political party. One is Democrats, one is Republican. For since the formation of US, there's always these two parties. All right. I want to say there's only these two big parties, Democrats or Republican. So for politician, they will either join this one or two. All right. Unlike in Malaysia, there's a lot of different parties. So that's why you need to form coalition. And Singapore as well, Singapore, although there's a big major party, there's a few opposition party. So US is one of many that only two big political party. So if you observe like European, there's a lot of different small party that need to form coalition to form government. There's a lot of check and balance right here. Yeah. So this is what happened in US. That's why there's always a swing and it's very extreme. It's extreme left or extreme right. So there isn't a balance right here. So I guess this is why Elon would like to come out and be the balancing power. So if any party is too extreme, they serve as a third party, they can balance the power. All right. So what do you think about Elon forming a political party? Is it a good or bad thing for Tesla? If it's a good thing, just type in good. If it's a bad thing, just type in bad. What do you think? As a businessman or business company like CEO, go and form a political party and join the political scene. Is it good or bad for the company? All right. Malaysia is rojak. Don't talk about it. Yeah. Face issue. Elon cannot lose. All right. I'm not sure, but Elon Musk, whether is it due to ego or is it because he feel that he has the power or he has the ability to change. I think it's just a fine line. I would say that he has the charisma and he has the determination to make changes. But sometimes it's just a fine line between ego and effective, I would say. I don't know. That's why he buy Twitter because of face issue. Yeah. Yeah. It's like when he proved that he can do it, yeah, people will say, wow, he's successful. But right now it's like in the limbo, right? People say, wow, it's because of ego. Yeah. All right. Let's look at YouTube side. You say, oh, it's good. It's good that he go into political scene. All right. And Jay said, it's like a tri-party. There's always a balancing power. Good PT got Trump already. Bye, Okay, yeah. Yeah, what 基层与和衡量 is like last time there's a 诸葛亮, there's a 周瑜, both are strategies. These two strategies, they have to fight each other in the sense that they are from different countries. You're asking if there's already 诸葛亮, why there's a 周瑜? Why not just one? Yeah, so they got to fight. I didn't think from that end, but I thought, yeah, it's always good to have different opinion. So that's why US is still a very democratic country, like still worldwide. That's why when there's a discussion, there's a competition, or there's some peer pressure, that's why advancement come in. Yeah. But is it good or bad thing? I would say it's a mix. Yep. Just because Elon mentioned that he want to go into political scenes, by just mentioning it but not doing anything yet, the market react, drop by 6.2%. Hey, I just say one word, maybe I would like to make a new political party. And then the investors say, oh, no, I just bye-bye. All right. But all in all, if you look at Tesla as a company, there are still like employees, there are still innovations, there are still like what you say, like your Tesla Energy, your even companies that is not really under Tesla, SpaceX, they are still making a lot of advancement because they have visions that they like to achieve. They like to address your EV, they like to address your energy, they like to address robotaxi, they like to address your humanoid. Yeah, so there are still scientists, there are still the engineers there making progress. Just that the leader are not is not so focused. There is still vision in the company, but if you compare to Apple and Tesla, which company you think that have more innovative power or you have more innovation? Tesla or Apple? Just type in. All right. Which company you think is more innovative? Was they both outdated? All right. Okay. Okay. I'm taking two steps back and I'm thinking as an employee point of view. I'd like to join a company. I'd like to join the smartest people worldwide. So of course, there are companies like Meta that are gathering all the people that like making progress in AI. Of course, there is. But when you talk about like machines, when you talk about like robots, when you talk about like cars, yeah, or more tech innovative products out there. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So I would say Tesla is still the symbolic or the forerunner in terms of, or not say electronics, but maybe robots. Yeah. So Kev said, what Tesla investor worries is Donald Trump because Elon is challenging the US president. All right, and then I said, Eric, don't create war on chat. It's not creating war. What we are doing right here is really understanding the market. All of us are part of the market. If you can have a sense of understanding or maybe some statistic within this small chat group, right? You somehow have a better feeling of what is the market. Because for us, if we just think alone, a lot of time we have blind spot. That's why you have community to discuss about this. You have community to talk about companies, their leaders, their product, their services. That's where we can grow better together. Think about why globalization is so important for us. We are just joining party. We are joining our intelligence together. Jobs already gone very long ago. You mean Steve Jobs, is it? Yeah, but yeah. So it's important to have a good leader, of course, but if the company still can continue doing new products, why not? But all in all, just come to this now. So there are community members outside, or some of you are thinking about Tesla as a company. Just come to this, all right? So there's a lot of contrarian view right here. So people say, wow. So right now, maybe it's time to think about Tesla because the valuation went down. So it went high in 2021 when the stock market or tech stock just went so crazily high. The price to sales ratios went as high as 16 times. Even from December 24, it's around, I would say, 6 to 7 times. It went up as high as the 13 to 14 times. All right. So it's like close to like double in terms of price to sales. But right now it's at 9-ish. So it's come to rather close to the average at 9 price to sales. So there are some of the community member out there are collecting Tesla for obviously, first they believe in Tesla. Second, they might have been a Tesla investor. They are just accumulating more. So for you, if you are just new to this company and you like to invest into it, just make sure that it's either you study more or you just portfolio size it. All right. This is not about self-recommendation. Just like to highlight this thing, which is valuation. Valuation is very important when it comes to investing. And right now, Tesla is so-called like in the average price to sales like ratios. Like what I mentioned just now, it's always good to have a few companies if your majority investment is in stocks. Or if you have other investment like properties or even your funds or even some of your cryptos, if you have spread out, maybe a few companies or more concentrated 3 to 5 companies is alright because you have spread out in other assets. All right. So in any case, make sure that you have these different buckets, which is protections, defense, attack, or even lottery. All right. And if you don't know what type of investor you are, just scan this QR code and find out. Yeah, this is the investor like quiz that we have created previously in Taiwan. We just translate it, and then you see there's a cute animal right there. Yeah, it's all created by our Taiwanese team. So come to the third tea of the night. All right. So the third item that come to the night is this thing called Magnificent Seven. All right. Okay. So when we talk about Magnificent Seven, Fang stock, Mama stock, all right. So there's a lot of acronyms on all these company when we come to stock market. All right. Why FANG previously? Because last time F stands for Facebook. And then why change to Mama? Because FANG, our Facebook, changed to Meta. So that's why it turned M. All right. Right now, Magnificent Seven, even easier. It's not bound by the acronym. It's any Magnificent Seven company. So I thought Magnificent Seven is a better name because you can change. Fang Mama walao you change company, you need to change the acronym. Or or first is you change company name, not company. You need to change the acronym. Next is what if I want to change the top company, I need to change the acronym again. But Magnificent Seven is Magnificent Seven. I can always switch my top 7 company. What is Mama? Okay. All right. Fang, MG, and Mama. So Mama, Meta, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, and Alphabet is Mama. All right. Actually, you see the company, actually, it's not much different. It's only 1 or 2 changes, or 1 update or 2 update. All right. Okay, so like Meta, Google, change name. All right. And then when it go to Magnificent Seven, right, it add in Nvidia and Tesla. All right. So this is the from the time that I started investing in US stock, right? They always have this acronym or gang name. I'll say gang name. I'm Fang Gang. I'm Mama Gang. Right now, I'm Magnificent Seven Gang. All right. Okay. Oh, I see Celine. Celine is on YouTube. Hi, Celine. All right. So there's 20 of you guys watching now. Oh, all right. So right now, I'm going to the last segment of the first portion. You still can share it with a friend. So if you have a friend that right now don't know what to do, like to watch something online, instead of swiping TikTok, maybe you can share this YouTube link. If they just want to pass time, right? Why not just follow me a bit, watch here, support. All right. Okay. So this is the latest thing that talk about the biggest company or the trendiest company or the fastest growing company. Yeah. These are I will term it like the bluest blue chip. If blue chip doesn't rings in your mind, maybe you are too young. Blue chips are the things that the oldest or the elder people will talk about. Blue chip is like the biggest company. Blue chip, when you go to casino, blue chip means they are a bigger value chip. All right. But why is this being brought up again? Especially Magnificent Seven. All right. People are talking about Magnificent Seven again. Why? Just now you see the company, right? There is like Alphabet, Amazon, Apple, Meta, Microsoft, Nvidia, and Tesla. So if you got to switch the company, which 2 companies shall be removed and which companies shall add in to your Magnificent Seven companies? All right. Okay. Apple and Tesla removed. I just showed the slide, but yeah. Okay, and then add in Oracle and Palantir, PLTR. How Kong say add in Broadcom, AVGO. Obviously, How Kong is a semicon company, right? Con supporter. Kun say add BRK, at Berkshire Hathaway. Kev say Apple, Tesla can go. Apple, Tesla, bye bye. May also say Apple and Tesla remove. Add Palantir. All right. Okay, and then the fire journey say Tesla out. Christ crazy. Yes, it's not like blue chip stable one. Go up and down. Yeah, crazy project. And Lee Tiong Kun say Tesla remove. All right. And then add in net. Ooh. All right. Lee Tiong Kun. Add in net. Cloudflare is not companies that are being discussed much in our community. I'm Cloudflare investor, just to declare. I'm invested in Cloudflare, and yep. So maybe we shall look into Cloudflare in our next few updates because earnings season is coming. Earnings season coming, and it's coming big time in the later half of July. It's not this week, it's not next week, it's the following after next week. There's a lot company announcing their earnings. So I would strongly urge you guys, if any companies that you like to look into later on at the end of sessions, we have an open chat right here. Okay. Let's come back to this when we talk about the new gang. Yeah. So some of you have said like, drop Tesla and Apple, replace Oracle and Broadcom. So this is what the financial analyst Michael Brush that raised. All right. So later on, I'll show you this author. What is credential? Does what he said make sense? All right. So let's go through the point that he raised. All right. So why drop Tesla? Straightforward. Okay. So what he said that why drop Tesla? First thing, especially in Singapore or even in China, especially in Singapore, Tesla or some other EV cars. All right. So in Singapore, there's a few EV brands, but there's this EV brand, right? They are doing marketing, right? Very crazily. They have marketing booth, right, at a lot of malls. So BRT has come to the scene, and then I think they are definitely going to price war. They are definitely going to in a situation possible. There are thoughts that they overproduce. That's why they need to sell away the car. And when they sell the car, they sell with discount. And when they go to discount, there is price war. So BRT is leading so-called the car, EV cars. No doubt, I think it's because there's a lot of discount right there. Yeah, but also no doubt the car has a very good quality. If not, even discount, right, they cannot sell. Obviously, there's quality, there's good, what is it called? 性价比. There's good value in it compared to price. The val is very valuable compared to price. So that's why a lot of like car owners, when they change their car, they will go for BRT if they go for EVs. Just a fun fact. There's one company, there's also car manufacturer, but they don't just sell car. They sell sausages. They produce and sell sausages. Anyone have a guess what company it is? They don't just sell car, they sell sausages. Means hot dogs. Hot dogs. Anyone know which are the company? Yeah. Okay. No one guess? German car manufacturer, Kun Kun. The biggest car manufacturer in Germany. The logo is circle. They also a W. Volkswagen, they also manufacture sausages, and actually in terms of like percentage, right, their sausages grow better than their car manufacturing. But coming to this so why he said drop Tesla is because there's competitions, there's a lot of price war, and China's domestic EVs are growing very strong. So you have BRT, you have XPeng, all these companies are growing very strong. And what he taught here about robotaxi and Optimus, which is a humanoid, he said we don't buy hopes and dreams. Yeah, so this is his take. Because he as a fund manager, he has to take care of their investor money. It's not their own money. So they have to be very cautious. So that's why hopes and dreams, yeah, for investors that have strong belief, they can hold on to it. But for fund manager, it's a bit tough to explain that. So it's understandable for fund manager to drop Tesla. But for individual investor, we are not bound by that kind of obligation or financial obligation, or is it called financial, or the responsibility, I would say. That's why individual investor, we can take a different view. We can take a longer investing horizon. It's not to say that Tesla is a good company, or if you hold on enough, you make return from it. But this is the reason why individual investor is different from fund manager. So that's why he said drop Tesla. Next is about Apple. All right. So first thing, one thing about even long-time Apple like fans or Apple user right here, I'm not buying the new phones anymore. Yeah, I'm not buying the latest phone. Or even if there's latest phone, I will just buy the previous one. Why pay the price premium for a very minor improvement, right? I rather pay a discount or for sufficient product value lah. I would not pay overpriced for new Apple iPhone. So for me, just like what the fund manager mentioned, so the reason that they drop Apple, very simple. There's an iPhone fatigue, means people are not chasing the latest iPhone. Or even if they are chasing iPhone, they will go by every three version or every three years lah. Why? Because what they also mention is for a phone, right? A complete advancement, not a minor advancement, a complete advancement or complete change is every other three version. Yeah. So this is the first thing, iPhone fatigue. Second is when they talk about AI, right? They don't talk about artificial intelligence. They talk about Apple intelligence. And obviously, Apple intelligence is a name they make up that plug in different models, I would say. So they have their own models, they will use their other people models. Apple innovations, AI is underwhelming. Lah. So we always hope like maybe we have a very smart phone whereby they can know what are we doing, when are we doing, give us some reminder, give us some tips or give us some changes in our texting and whatever. Yes, there is, but like, it's not like very impressive per se. Lah. So even for iPhone user, if you are using the Apple intelligence or you are the insider to use Apple intelligence, let us know lah. Because I'm not using their AI stuff. Anyone using their AI stuff means you go your voice messages, they will tell you your so-called edit your text and stuff like that. Yeah. I think the last round did update the WWDC, they talk about Apple intelligence, but seems not much hype from it lah. Same to other phone, unless we really fully use all the function. Yeah, exactly. The only function is like camera, or just what Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, Telegram. Yeah. And then the other thing that they thought is not as good is Apple, their major supply chain is in China. So there's a geopolitical risk. So that's why when there's tariff, right? They say Apple phone will increase price because of all the tariff. Yeah. Okay. So this is the reason why he dropped Apple. Yep, and then they add in Oracle and Broadcom. So Oracle, I think I covered last week, which is some of the very impressive numbers, especially on their Oracle cloud infrastructure, their enterprise database. So one of the things that they talk about the database is, yes, people will go for some of the database like Google, Amazon, or Microsoft. But some of the companies would like to de-risk, not to just rely on a single company. So they will choose Oracle as their backup infrastructure. So this is what I see from their deck lah. Maybe I will spend more time covering Oracle next week. All right. Yeah. So I started to read about Oracle quite a bit. I also read what Kev have written about a lot of like banking, healthcare, infrastructure. They use Oracle as their database, their enterprise database, their ERP, their cloud infrastructure. So when your infrastructure previously with Oracle, it's easier for you to switch to Oracle cloud infrastructure compared to maybe Microsoft, Google, or Amazon. This is what Oracle mentioned. So they say their customer, they have a very high stickiness of their customer, especially in finance sector and also healthcare sector, right? Kev, correct me if I'm wrong. So this is what I read from their earnings or even their informations. Yeah. So that's why for the last 1, 2 years, their cloud revenue just went up 27%, or they expect to grow by 40%. Yeah. Okay. But if you look at just pure revenue growth, right, it's in the teens, like 10%, 11%. It's like low teens. It's not like their cloud grow like 30, 40%. Yeah. Okay. But the cloud growth is enough to gather interest and share price grow by 70% since the dip in roughly after April, the dip. So this is Oracle. Next, we talk about Broadcom. Other than NVIDIA, so Broadcom is also bring about. So what he mentioned is like to reduce NVIDIA dependency, not to just heavily reliant on NVIDIA. And for Broadcom, their AI chip revenue also went up by 46%. Yeah. This is the thing whereby he said, remove Tesla, remove Apple, add Oracle and Broadcom. What do you guys think? If you think is okay, just type in okay. Yeah, so you heard of this fund manager, what they think. All right. So come to this fund manager. Who is this fund manager that mentioned this? So this fund manager, he managed like SHGTX. I think it's an ETF, is SHGTX. If from the dip, right, it recover more than QQQ and SPY. So SPY recover 25%, QQQ recover 30%, but for SHGTX, right, it recover close to 40%. Yeah. So this is the very short track record. But if you drag it long enough, actually it didn't perform better than QQQ or SPY lah. But for this specific short period, the fund recover faster than the other two. He has background on electrical engineering, tech industry, yeah, and based in California. All right. So today there's these three different segments that I slice it out. So I hope it is more of a bite size for you. So each portion I take 20 minutes to go through. So first is the taxes, different country, different taxes that caught my attention. Second is Trump versus like Elon. So obviously the intent or the words that blurb out from Elon that he want to start a party make the share price drop by 7%. So some of the investor out there to know, they said maybe it's a good time to pick up some shares. But for you, if you are interested, make sure that you know the company and also know the valuation itself. All right. So I share with you the valuation based on price to sales. The 30, the transition, which is the Magnificent Seven. What are the topics that bring about is maybe we should relook at the top 7 companies. This fund manager itself, which is Petal, he mentioned he would like to remove Tesla, Apple, and put in Broadcom and also Oracle. Okay, so this is for this week. And then next week, I would cover Oracle. So if you join in the next WealthPulse session, I will talk about Oracle, more of what have they done in the beginning of the time, which is a lot of years ago. What have the transitions that have occurred? And more importantly, the cloud transition. I think the cloud transition is a key thing, the key driver of their share price for the past 1 year itself. So earnings season is coming. Yeah. Next week is still lull period, but the following week, all the earnings are coming. So next week, if I'm not wrong, TSMC is announcing, but the following week, a lot of companies come in. All right. Let us know or let me know what are the companies that you would like us to cover in terms of like earnings call. And then I'll just go listen and gather the earnings call, tie in with their previous earning call, see if whatever they say in the previous like earnings call, is it aligned? Do they improve or do they like outbid what they said or they do poor than what they said? And of course, in this earnings season, what we like to listen is also the tariff affect their planning, the tariff affect their earnings. So obviously, shoe manufacturer in textile industry, they definitely got affected. Apple also got affected. So Celine say, today topic very interesting, market related. Gambate Eric. Thanks, Lynn. Okay, I'll just close off this session in the next 3 minutes. So in this moment of time, if you have any companies that you'd like to cover in terms of earnings for the next season, which is coming real soon, just type in the company. All right. Kun Kun say Robin Hood better. Better is what? All right. Thanks, Xuyen. Thank you, Eric, for information sharing always. All right. Thank you, Frankie. Thanks, Eric. It's always excited to watch here. Thanks. Yeah. It's not just excite you. I hope that you also learn something right here. You also get informations that you require to address your portfolio, to grow your portfolio. All right. Or else it's just informative session. It's not so-called informations that you can decipher and then take actions. Not just take reference, not take action. If take actions, then I'm giving some advice. No, I didn't get right. Yeah. Just take some reference right here. Because I myself is an investor, I also like to learn from you guys. I'm not the best investor. Some of you guys, your portfolio might be doing better than me. But what I'm doing right here is really a platform, a channel whereby open discussions that can talk about. All right. So here the format is still very much one to many, which I talk to you. So moving forward, I would like to have some segment. The 3 segment is not just all the way 3 different topics. The 3 different segments may come from one to many, one to one. If you have things that you'd like me to go through, for example, maybe some of your companies or some of your analysis or some interactive sessions that I'll be creating, especially like quiz or even like a Kahoot. All right. So tonight I don't have time to build the pigeon whereby you can type in the companies that everyone can see. Moving forward, I'll include some of the interactive elements in it. All right. So if you are on phone, best you can watch on your TV on TV. So YouTube, you can watch on TV. All right. If you are watching YouTube, maybe watching on YouTube is much more enjoyable. right? And you let me know, is the resolution good enough? If the resolution is not as good, then I'll just stream it through YouTube, because if I from Zoom to YouTube, the highest resolution is 720p. Yeah, so I think this is a limitation right here if I use Zoom lah. Okay, thanks, Eileen. Keep up insightful sharing with Travels Now. Thank you. All right, so I only have Sofi and Robinhood right here. Not worry. So if you're on WhatsApp, you can always text me on WhatsApp. And if you're on Google Community, you can always add in your sharing over there. Or else, I will appreciate if you let me know what you think about the session. If you like this session, you'll share with your friend. Share like the Goodwill Live Investing channel to your friend and let them know every Tuesday, 8 p.m. You can come in anytime. You can come in 8:15, 8:30, 8:45. So you even if you come in late, there's 3 segments. You can continue with it. All right. That's all for tonight. I will see you next week, next Tuesday, 8 p.m., same time, and we'll talk about Oracle. All right. Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.